Welcome to 11 Stoic signs you need to cut ties, even with family and friends. Life presents us with a multitude of challenges, but few are as complex and emotionally charged as navigating difficult relationships. We are social creatures by nature, hardwired to seek connection and belonging. But what happens when those very relationships, the ones meant to provide solace and support, become sources of suffering and stagnation? How do we reconcile the deeply ingrained human need for connection with the equally important need for self-preservation? These are not easy questions, and the answers are rarely clear-cut. But by turning to the ancient wisdom of Stoic philosophy, we can gain valuable insights into navigating these treacherous relational waters. The Stoics, with their emphasis on reason, virtue, and acceptance, offer a framework for understanding the necessity of setting boundaries, even with those closest to us, for the sake of our own well-being and personal growth. The Stoics placed great emphasis on tranquility of mind, a state of inner peace undisturbed by the chaos and turmoil of the external world. This doesn't mean living a life devoid of challenges or difficulties. Rather, it's about cultivating an inner resilience, an ability to weather the storms of life without being swept away by them. Toxic relationships, those characterized by chronic conflict, disrespect, or emotional manipulation, act as constant disruptors to this hard-won inner peace. They keep us tethered to a cycle of negativity, resentment, and anxiety, preventing us from experiencing the true tranquility that comes from living in alignment with our values. Imagine a still pond, its surface mirroring the calmness of the sky above. Now, picture someone repeatedly tossing rocks into that pond, each ripple representing the disruption caused by a toxic individual. The water, once a source of serenity, becomes agitated, its reflection distorted. This is what happens to our minds, to our very being, when we allow ourselves to be continuously subjected to the negativity of unhealthy relationships. Respect in any relationship is not a one-way street. It's the very foundation upon which healthy connections are built. When respect is absent, the foundation crumbles and the relationship begins to crack under the weight of resentment and bitterness. The Stoics recognize that true respect stems from a place of recognizing the inherent worth and dignity of every individual, regardless of their flaws or shortcomings. This doesn't mean condoning bad behavior or accepting mistreatment. On the contrary, recognizing your own inherent worth allows you to demand respect from others, not through force or coercion, but by refusing to accept anything less than what you deserve. Think of respect as the fertile soil in which the seeds of a strong relationship can take root and flourish. Without it, even the most well-intentioned efforts at connection will wither and die. We all have an inherent need to feel valued, to know that our presence in the lives of others matters. When this need is consistently unmet, when we feel like an afterthought, a burden, or simply invisible, it chips away at our sense of self-worth. This feeling of being undervalued can manifest in subtle ways, constantly being spoken over or interrupted, having your opinions dismissed, or feeling like your needs are never prioritized. Over time, these seemingly small slights can accumulate, creating a chasm of resentment and emotional distance. Imagine giving a gift to someone you care about, only to have them toss it aside without a second glance. This is what it feels like to be consistently undervalued in a relationship. Your efforts, your presence, your very being is treated as insignificant, as if it holds no weight or meaning. Relationships, by their very nature, require effort from all parties involved. It's a delicate dance of give and take, of mutual support and understanding. However, when the effort becomes perpetually one-sided, when you find yourself constantly reaching out, making concessions and receiving little to nothing in return, it's a clear sign that the balance is off. This imbalance can be incredibly draining, leaving you feeling depleted and resentful. Imagine pushing a boulder uphill, only to have it roll back down every time you pause for a moment's rest. This is what it's like to be in a relationship characterized by one-sided effort. You're constantly expending energy, yet making little to no progress. The Stoics would argue that it's not your responsibility to single-handedly hold a relationship together. Sometimes, the most courageous and self-respecting act is to step back and allow the other person to either meet you halfway or to let the relationship go. We all experience negativity from time to time. It's a natural part of the human experience. However, when someone in your life is a constant source of negativity, when their presence seems to drain your energy and leave you feeling emotionally exhausted, it's time to re-evaluate the impact they're having on your well-being. This negativity can manifest in various forms: chronic complaining, pessimism, unwarranted criticism, or a general tendency to focus on the worst aspects of any situation. Imagine spending time in a room with a leaky faucet, each drip a constant reminder of something being amiss. This is what it's like to be subjected to constant negativity. It's a slow but steady drain on your emotional reserves, leaving you feeling depleted and demoralized. The Stoics believed in focusing on what we can control, and while we can't control the behavior of others, we can control who we allow to influence our thoughts and emotions. Relationships should be a source of growth, a space where we can learn, evolve, and become better versions of ourselves. When a relationship lacks this element of growth, when it feels stagnant, repetitive, and devoid of positivity, it can start to feel more like a chore than a choice. This lack of growth can manifest in different ways: a refusal to try new things, a resistance to change, or a general sense of being stuck in a rut. Imagine a plant left untended, its roots confined to a small pot, unable to reach their full potential. This is what it's like to be in a relationship that lacks growth. You might experience a sense of longing, a yearning for something more, yet feel trapped by the limitations of the relationship. The Stoics believed in living in accordance with nature. And just as nature is constantly evolving and growing, so too should our relationships. If a relationship is preventing you from reaching your full potential, from becoming the best version of yourself, it might be time to reevaluate its place in your life. Trust is the bedrock of any strong relationship. It's the invisible thread that binds us together, creating a sense of safety, security, and mutual reliance. However, when that trust is broken, it can be incredibly difficult to repair. Repeated breaches of trust, whether through betrayal, deceit, or a consistent disregard for your feelings, can create irreparable damage, leaving you feeling vulnerable and exposed. Imagine a bridge that's been weakened by repeated storms, its foundations slowly eroding. This is what happens to a relationship when trust is repeatedly broken. Each breach further weakens the foundation, making it increasingly difficult to rebuild. The Stoics understood that while forgiveness is important, it doesn't necessitate forgetting or condoning harmful behavior. Sometimes the most compassionate act towards yourself is to acknowledge the breach, to grieve the loss of what was, and to create the necessary distance to protect yourself from further hurt. The decision to cut ties with someone, even when it's necessary, is rarely easy. We're often plagued by guilt, doubt, and a sense of loyalty, even when the relationship is causing us harm. However, if the thought of ending the relationship brings a sense of relief rather than overwhelming sadness, it's a strong indication that the relationship has run its course. This relief might manifest as a feeling of lightness, a sense of burden being lifted, or a renewed sense of hope and possibility for the future. Imagine finally removing a pair of shoes that have been pinching your feet for far too long. There might be some initial discomfort, perhaps even some blisters to tend to, but the overwhelming feeling is one of relief. You can finally walk freely without the constant reminder of the pain you've been enduring. The Stoics emphasized the importance of focusing on what we can control and accepting what we cannot. This principle is particularly relevant when it comes to relationships. We can't control the actions, thoughts, or feelings of others. We can't force someone to treat us with respect, to value our presence, or to reciprocate our efforts. What we can control is our own response to their behavior. We can choose to set boundaries, to communicate our needs, and to walk away from situations that are no longer serving us. This shift in focus, from trying to change others to taking responsibility for our own well-being, is incredibly empowering. It allows us to reclaim our agency and to make choices that are in alignment with our values, even if those choices involve difficult goodbyes. Our relationships should uplift us, challenge us to be better, and align with our moral compass. When a relationship requires us to compromise our values, to betray our own sense of right and wrong, it creates a deep sense of internal conflict. This compromise can manifest in subtle ways: laughing at jokes that make us uncomfortable, staying silent when we witness injustice, or engaging in behaviors that go against our core beliefs. Imagine being asked to wear a mask that hides your true identity, that forces you to pretend to be someone you're not. This is what it feels like to be in a relationship that requires moral compromise. You're constantly suppressing your true self, sacrificing your integrity for the sake of maintaining a connection that no longer feels authentic. The Stoics believed that living a virtuous life was paramount, and that true happiness stemmed from aligning our actions with our values. We are naturally drawn to those who share similar values and goals, those who understand and appreciate our worldview. When there's a fundamental misalignment in values, it can create friction, conflict, and a sense of disconnect. This misalignment might manifest in disagreements about fundamental beliefs, different approaches to life, or conflicting priorities. Imagine trying to fit two puzzle pieces together that don't quite match. You might be able to force them together temporarily, but the fit will always be awkward, and the connection will remain tenuous. This is what it's like to be in a relationship with someone who doesn't share your core values. You might find yourself constantly explaining, defending, or compromising your beliefs, which can be emotionally exhausting. The Stoics believed in seeking out like-minded individuals, those who shared their commitment to virtue, reason, and living in accordance with nature. Navigating the complexities of human relationships is a lifelong journey, fraught with challenges and triumphs. The decision to cut ties with someone, even when necessary, is never easy. It requires courage, self-awareness, and a deep understanding of your own needs and values. The Stoics offer us a valuable framework for navigating these difficult decisions, reminding us that our well-being depends on our ability to let go of what no longer serves us, to create healthy boundaries, and to prioritize our own growth and tranquility. Remember, cutting ties is not a sign of weakness. It's an act of self-preservation, a testament to your commitment to living a life true to yourself.